What is the YG strategy, and why does everyone think it's outdated? During third gen K pop, everyone noticed that YG had a very distinct and unique way of managing Blackpink. The average K pop group has a schedule consisting of back to back comebacks with multiple promotions, like performing on music shows, attending award shows, and music festivals, not to mention brand photo shoots. But with Blackpink, they had an average of one comeback in over 2 years and barely attended music shows. They were absent for numerous award shows, especially the Mamas. The only thing I could say they were consistent with were brand ambassadorships. Like, the only thing Blackpink had to show for the first 10 years of their career were 32 songs. 32! And I guess a bunch of brand deals, but still. Rookies tend to have double that within their first year. But somehow, this strategy worked so well for Blackpink that they became the biggest girl group to come out of K-pop. 10 years after Blackpink's debut, YG finally debuted another girl group called Baby Monster. As expected, YG used the same strategy that they used to manage Blackpink. Well, they tried to because it didn't work. Baby Monster started out with minimal comebacks and zero stage show performances. But instead of making people desperate for more like it did with Blackpink, it almost made everyone forget about them. So why did the YG strategy work for Blackpink and not for Baby Monster? I think that the YG strategy will only work under certain conditions, one of them being a low state of competition. If you look at fourth gen K-pop, there are 6 different girl groups competing for the top spot. In fifth gen, we have 5, even though it's barely been 3 years. Now, compare that to third gen, where we only had 3 top girl groups competing with each other. In fact, I don't think that Twice and Red Velvet served as much competition for Blackpink. Not because they weren't capable, but because their respective companies didn't promote them to their maximum potential. Especially Twice. Like, what do you mean JYP waited until 2018 to upload their songs on Spotify? Already that alone limited them from not only reaching a much more global audience, but also from placing on Western charts. And with Red Velvet, SM was way too focused on creating the next BTS with the so-called Avengers of K-pop. Psycho was literally their best shot, but they wasted it. Because of how much these companies underpromoted their own groups, they basically gave Blackpink a free pass to dominate the Western and global market for girl groups. At present, however, those companies have learned their mistake, and now girl groups are heavily promoted outside of Korea more than boy groups. We have groups like Les Seraphim, New Jeans, aespa, and IVE that are well known in the West, which essentially means that the competition has grown fiercer. Everything nowadays is way more fast-paced and based on ever-changing trends because of TikTok taking over. If you take too much time to make a comeback, you'll end up being forgotten and everyone would have moved on to the next trending thing. Nobody has the patience to wait anymore. And YG learned that the hard way with Baby Monster, and even with Blackpink, considering how badly their latest album underperformed. Eventually, YG did realize their mistake and started promoting Baby Monster more adequately. The result did show some improvement, and Baby Monster started to regain their place in the public eye. But it still wasn't enough. Baby Monster weren't performing to expectations. Was it because the damage had already been done? Or the problem was something else entirely? Which brings me to the next point. YG groups have a distinct sound, and I don't mean that in a nice way. I mean it in a they have zero evolution whatsoever kind of way. We've heard it with 2NE1, we've heard it with Blackpink, and now we're hearing it again with Baby Monster. The only thing that's changing is the members. Most people are tired, some have no problem with it, but majority are tired. I doubt we'd be complaining if YG was trying to somehow reinvent their sound or try modifying it a little, but they're basically copying and pasting. Every time I listen to a Baemon song, it's like I'm listening to a Blackpink draft, or a 2NE1 draft, or a combination of both. Baby Monster essentially has no identity separate from Blackpink or 2NE1, and I'm starting to question if that was YG's plan from the beginning. Was it a ploy to get Blackpink fans and 2NE1 fans to support the group? Probably. What I will say it's doing is turning other casual listeners away from the group. While we're on the topic of songs, let's talk about the concept in relation to the members' ages. The girl crush concept worked for Blackpink because all of the members were above 18 when they debuted. However, giving Baemon the same concept when at debut, 5 out of 7 members were minors, with the youngest 2 being 15, was a bad idea. Downright weird. Girl crush concepts tend to have mature themes, and you would at least expect YG to not include them for the group, but that was not the case. In terms of dancing and even the styling, sometimes you could see that the older members were more covered up than the younger members, not to mention the constant twerking and throwing it back embedded in their choreography. YG's CEO himself has stated to be the one to sign off on the choreography, and I don't need to tell you the weird circumstances between him and his wife ending up together. Overall, it is just creepy, and I don't think most people would enjoy a girl crush concept being done by people who should be in middle school or high school. Lastly, we're going to talk about YouTube. To say that Blackpink ruled over YouTube feels like an understatement. Because of how their schedule made them unavailable for physical appearances, the moment they uploaded any form of content on YouTube, their fans mass watched it. And I'm not exaggerating. Their practice videos got up to 2 billion views. YouTube was how most of their fans discovered them. They have the record for the most subscribed YouTube channel by a musical act and the most viewed. And remember, they didn't have that many songs, which meant even less music videos. And back then, YouTube views meant higher recognition, and their music videos were getting more views than that of top Western artists. So it was a big deal. But that was back then. YouTube views don't hold the same weight as they did before. For one, Billboard stopped counting YouTube stats for their charts, which led to more artists focusing more on Spotify streams and less on YouTube views. But even before that, people stopped caring as much about music videos and were more interested in streaming. I don't know why, but I will tell you that a song could get up to 1 billion streams on Spotify, but only 200 million views on YouTube. Most artists and record labels took notice of that and adjusted their strategies. All but YG. For some reason, they are obsessed with making sure their artists have millions of views on YouTube, even if it's by using ads. But the results tend to be 200 million YouTube views and only 10 million streams on Spotify. Not to mention, Baby Monster barely managed to chart on Korean charts for more than 2 days. So, what market are they aiming for exactly? Because they are failing on both domestic charts and international ones. And to make it even more frustrating, YG doesn't seem like it wants to change anything. It's like they're convinced that things will somehow work themselves out. Meanwhile, the rest of 5th Gen is advancing and reaching greater heights. Each of the Baby Monster members have so much potential, especially in terms of vocals and dance, but unfortunately, they're stuck being managed by YG, a company that has no idea what to do with them. From the looks of it, their potential is probably going to be wasted at YG, especially Ion, because they are ruining that girl's vocal cords.